Welcome back to Switch to Linux. So we are back on the Debian computer, and I'm actually running this on Cinnamon because I can actually record video on Cinnamon. I just can't make it, well, I can record my camera on Cinnamon. I just can't make it any bigger than this. I did not test how big I can make the picture on Mate, and I can load the camera on Plasma. However, about the left or the right quarter of the screen, the wallpaper and everything over there just kind of goes away, and I'm left with the login wallpaper. So I'm thinking, based on the fact that Cinnamon and Mate both run Xorg and Plasma runs Wayland, I'm thinking it's a Wayland issue. But regardless, we'll get into more of that maybe next week, because I'm going to do a two-part series. I have been using this Debian build for, I don't know, since it came out. This is Debian 9. It's like a month or 6 weeks. I forget exactly how long, but I have pretty much not been running my Linux Mint that is usually on this particular computer. And I've been running Debian almost all the time. There's been a few times I have not been. A little bit about this install. This Debian install actually contains 4 different desktop environments. It has Mate, Cinnamon, Plasma, and also I have Kodi installed on here. And so I can jump back and forth between any of those on the basic login screen, which I won't show you here because, well, I'm recording on this session. And like I said, I did opt to record on the Cinnamon session just because I should have done the Mate session, really. I don't give the Mate on this computer enough love. But I am running this entire computer, runs entirely on a USB 3 drive. This is another one of those, the exact drive. It's just a SanDisk USB 3 32 gigabyte drive, and it runs absolutely beautiful. In fact, it runs almost better than my Linux Mint that's on the SSD. I think that's just because I have too much fancy stuff going on with the window managers on that install. But regardless, what we're going to look at here today, we're going to split this up, like I said, into 2 different videos. This, of course, is Monday Linux Top 5. So today I'm going to talk about the top 5 really good things about Debian 9 from this is not one of my first impression videos. This is from the impression of I've been using this for about 4 to 6 weeks daily. And just to define what using it means, I've not actually done web design work on this, which is my primary core. I've done a little tiny bit of writing type stuff, but I've also done on here, mostly I've done on here watching videos, doing small touch-up things. I've run GIMP, I've run a little bit of LibreOffice, transfer files back and forth. So let me tell you about the good things about running Debian 9. First, Debian itself is one of your core granddaddies of the whole Linux world. Let me just move this around so I can put my camera on view too. We'll figure it out eventually. Let's do this. Let's do this one. There you go. Debian is one of those, the granddaddies of Linux. There's really only a few core Linux installs that everything else is based on, and Debian is one of those. So, of course, Ubuntu is based on Debian. So with the 700 bajillion Ubuntu installs, all of those are basically Debian builds. And so with this, that is one of the, you're looking at one of the core, and the closer you get to a core Linux install, the more pure the system tends to be. And so, your other ones, of course, you have the Arch, you have Solus is a new one, Chaos is a new one, and there's some other ones out there that are the closest the closest you get to just basically running a pure Linux kernel and then the supported packages. And then you start getting Ubuntu on top of that, and that starts adding in more things. And Linux Mint is down from Ubuntu, and so you get a lot of these things. And the great thing about running Debian is there's really nothing in the system except the core Linux kernels and the packages that they have. The next thing that I really liked about running Debian here is the install process. So Debian has unlike a lot of your other distros, you have a net install capability. So you can download this, which is a very small download for your architecture, 150 to 300 megabytes, and then this will just go out online and allow you to download everything else. And so this will kind of get you the core to get things started. But then what you can do is you select the packages you want. You select the desktop environments that you want. And what that did, though, for me, is it made it really easy to install multiple desktop environments. So, of course, a downside on this computer, if you look through my application list, is this system is very bloated. And it's very bloated, really, because I have 3 completely different desktop environments installed, and each of those desktop environments brought with it its own package of software that likes to come with it. And so if I just picked one of those, I would get just enough information from that one distro, and then I could add anything I felt was missing. But since I put 3 different desktop environments, it kind of gave me an excess amount of software. There's probably better ways to install multiple desktop environments on the same computer. But the net install, if you're a beginner and you want to experiment with different desktop environments, this is one really good way that you could install one install, one home folder in multiple environments. Now, a warning though, Debian is not the most user-friendly Linux distro, and if you are a beginner, you do not want to mess around with multiple desktop environments on a single system. But if you are wanting to play with something like that, this is a good way to do it. And this also taught me, though, how I like to use different desktop environments. Like if I'm in a work environment, I really want to be running Cinnamon. I'm just a lot faster with it. I'm set up with it a lot better. If I get to the point to where I'm running like a media environment, I love Plasma more than that. Manipulating files back and forth, Plasma's really not that good at it. It's very slow and buggy in that respect, so I love Cinnamon, how fast it is at interacting with things. So playing with the different desktops was great, and the net install allows you to do that very easily on the Debian build. The third thing I'm going to identify, because some people have asked about this, and I'm not sure I've fully answered it, is that networking works out of the box. I did not mess with it. Now, the great news about where I have this installed, this is actually on a desktop that has a wireless card. And so if you come on down here, the wired works perfectly fine. And I went ahead, and as soon as I turned on the wireless connection, you'll see, it connects immediately to what I had connected there. And so for me, that was a big thing, is that the networking works out of the box. Now, I did not try and run this on my little netbook that has happens to have a Broadcom modem, and I have no idea what wireless card is in this computer. This is literally like a $300 or $400 stock Lenovo Tower computer that came with Windows 8.1. But networking worked beautifully out of the box, no problems with it at all. All right. Number 4. So of course the downside is, because this is running an AMD processor with AMD integrated GPU. I was getting some screen tearing on any video intensive things that I was doing. I was not getting that on my other computer, which also runs an AMD graphics card, but that has a separate dedicated graphics card. But with this particular computer, the bad side is the AMD support was a little spotty. The good news is you can actually install proprietary drivers very simply. I found this article here, which had how to do that. And basically all you needed to do is edit your source list. You need to add your non-free drivers. So of course, these are proprietary drivers you're installing. So keep aware of that. If I was just doing this for web design, I'd probably deal with a little bit of screen tearing if I really wanted to run it. But with this, I was able to very easily follow the instructions here and add the non-free drivers, and then run the upgrade. And then since I've done that, I can now take this USB drive. I can drop this on any computer in this office. No screen tearing issues. It loads up the proper drivers every time. So installing your non-proprietary or installing your proprietary drivers was very easy on this system. And then number 5, although I have encountered some consistent system bugs that I will talk about next week on my What's Bad About Debian 9 right now, despite having some consistent bugs, they were very consistent. There is an outside of those identified and easily predictable to work around bugs, then the system itself is very stable. I've had a few little issues bouncing between Kodi and Plasma a couple of times. But for the most part, I've had extremely stable system on here. I could jump into any one of the desktop environments pretty easily. I can log in, log out, swap desktop environments, no problems anywhere. And so for that, it was a very good system. So in all, Debian 9 has, for the last month running in Debian 9, this was a very good system. I very much enjoyed working with it. It did take me a little bit longer to get this set up than it does, for example, just running a basic Linux Mint Cinnamon. It takes a little bit longer to get things set up and working right. However, that being said, this overall is a great distro once you have it up and running. So next week, I'm actually going to look at what is bad about my Debian 9 build. So thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.